Oh, the dreaded Antifas. The Antifa super soldiers. They're coming for you. They're coming to get you. Yeah. Everything is Antifa. Everybody we don't like is Antifa. Anybody who protests is Antifa. Well, you know, unless it's a 2A rally and they're wearing American flags. Then protesters aren't Antifa. I thought I'd be able to wait a few weeks before I did another Antifa piece, but apparently Umbrella Man got outed. Kind of thought we should take a look at that. So, Umbrella Man. Minneapolis police say Umbrella Man was a white supremacist trying to incite George Floyd rioting. Now, if you don't remember who Umbrella Man is, this was Umbrella Man. This video went absolutely viral the first day things went south in Minneapolis. And if you don't remember, Umbrella Man was a white dude with an umbrella and a trench coat with everything covered who was walking around an AutoZone, smashing out all of the windows and then spray painting free loot zone on the wall next to it. And then when he got accosted by protesters, people who actually live in the neighborhood, i.e. black and brown people, he promptly ran away and ran to where the police were. Hours later, this AutoZone was the first thing that burned in Minneapolis. This person actually created the situation, which brought this to fruition, so to speak. So, it turns out, yeah, not a good guy. A masked man who was seen in a viral video smashing windows of a South Minneapolis auto parts store during George Floyd protests, earning him the moniker Umbrella Man, is suspected of ties with a white supremacist group and sought to incite racial tension. What? Hold on. I was led to believe that all the destruction and all the problems that happened in Minneapolis were because of Marxist Black Lives Matter protesters, oh, those Marxists, and their friends, the white Antifa super soldiers. Surely it wasn't a white supremacist who kicked all that off. No, it couldn't be. A Minneapolis police arson investigator said the act of vandalism at the AutoZone helped spark the chain reaction that led to days of looting and rioting. The store was among dozens of buildings across the city that burned to the ground in the days that followed. This was the first fire that set off a string of fires and looting through the precinct and the rest of the city. Until the actions of the person your affidavit has been calling Umbrella Man, the protests had been relatively peaceful. The actions of this person created an atmosphere of hostility and tension. Your affidavit believes that this individual's sole aim was to incite violence. That was written by Sergeant Erica Christensen of the Minneapolis Police Department. Even the police, once you put them in an affidavit or on a stand in a court of law, turn around and say, no, that crazy stuff's happening because of white nationalists. But if you listen to Fox News or Donald Trump's Twitter or your racist ass Uncle Steve, who you only see twice a year, but he sends you shitty emails every day, if you listen to any of those people, they'd have you believe that violent Antifa super soldiers and black communists are running around burning everything to the ground and causing all this instability and all these problems. But what if I told you that Umbrella Man here, this is not the exception, this is the norm. This happens all the time. You don't believe me? Well then, let me show you. KKK leader charged for attack on Black Lives Matter protesters. Prosecutors say that Harry Rogers, 36, quote, drove recklessly towards a protest in Henrico County and revved the engine before driving into protesters. Mr. Rogers appeared in Henrico Court on the outskirts of Richmond, Virginia on Monday, facing charges of assault and battery. A hate crime investigation is underway. Also, not Antifa, not Black Lives Matter. Huh. Crazy. But surely these are just exceptions and not the norm, right? Oh. Ex-League of the South member arrested at Black Lives Matter rally in Tennessee. He attended multiple rallies with the Neo-Confederate hate group and faces disorderly conduct charges in East Tennessee. He was arrested July 11th and charged with disorderly conduct during a Black Lives Matter protest. Archer has long-standing ties to the Neo-Confederate League of the South and stood with the group at the deadly Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia. Archer was one of several counter-protesters wearing shirts with the legends National Socialist Club 131 and bearing the logo Good Night Left Side. The paper reported Archer tried to attack several people and was bleeding from his mouth at the time of the arrest. Sounds like he fucked around and found out. Let's see. Police. Richmond riots instigated by white supremacists disguised as Black Lives Matter. Riots in downtown Virginia were instigated by white supremacists under the guise of Black Lives Matter, according to law enforcement officials. Again, law enforcement officials. Literally, the people who hate the dreaded Antifa super soldiers and Black Lives Matter protesters more than anybody else. And even them, when you put a microphone in front of them, they go, yeah, it was white nationalists. Police declared the event an unlawful assembly and ordered people to leave, later deploying tear gas. 6 people were arrested. The mayor of Richmond thanked the Black Lives Matter protesters, he said, who tried to stop the white supremacists from spearheading the violence. Besides the police department, damage also occurred in and around the VCU college campus. Let's see. 3 self-proclaimed members of the far-right Bugaloo movement were arrested on domestic terrorism charges for trying to spark violence during protests. Where was this? Oh, this was in Las Vegas. The Bugaloo movement was defined in the charging document as a term used by extremists to signify coming civil war and our fall of civilization. The 3 men previously served in the U.S. Navy, Army, and Air Force. Each defendant was charged with conspiracy to damage and destroy by using fire and explosives and possession of unregistered firearms. According to the filing, the men in late May discussed, quote, causing an incident to incite chaos and possibly a riot in response to George Floyd's death. Wow. Really? 3 white dudes who belong to the Navy, the Army, and the Air Force. Filing noted the men self-identified as part of the Bugaloo movement, which prosecutors described as a term used by extremists to signify the fall of civilization. According to the Associated Press, all 3 men are white. I didn't have to see their picture to know they were white. Good Lord. When's the AP going to hire me? Apparently I know shit. According to the filing, each defendant faces 2 criminal charges. Federal prosecutors say the men planned to sow discord at protests in Nevada in early April. They first assembled at a rally to reopen the U.S. economy in Las Vegas, where, according to the filing, one of them said the group was not for joking around and that it was for people who wanted to violently overthrow the United States government. The filing stated that all members of the group possess firearms, including pistols, rifles, and variations of AR-15s. It also alleged that the 3 men met several times in May to discuss targeting multiple places to place, quote, an economic burden on businesses and the government. Last month, according to the filing, the men discussed, quote, causing an incident to incite chaos and possibly a riot. Gee, still waiting to hear about all the Antifas. Suspect in killing of 2 Bay Area officers. Tied to right-wing Bugaloo group, prosecutors allege. Also, not Antifa. Also, not Black Lives Matter. Killing cops. Yeah, but watch out for the Antifas because they're coming to make you eat vegan salads. When sheriff deputies searched a white van on June 6th in a wooded hamlet in Santa Cruz County, they found ammunition, firearms, bomb-making equipment, and a ballistic vest with a curious patch. The patch contained an igloo and a Hawaiian-style print, markings associated with a growing extremist anti-government group aimed at fomenting unrest and civil war. Let's see. They charged him and an accomplice of the death of a federal security officer in Oakland. Oakland said Carrillo, who also faces state charges in the killing of a Santa Cruz sheriff's deputy, was a follower of the Bugaloo movement, which a federal complaint said is not a fixed group, but includes people who identify themselves as militia and target perceived government tyranny. Wow, perceived government tyranny. Have you all been to Portland lately? There's federal officers shooting moms in the head with gas canisters. Yeah. Where's your concern about government tyranny now? No. Y'all aren't concerned about government tyranny. Y'all are concerned about the government saying you personally have to wear a mask or you personally have to wear taxes. You don't give a shit about government tyranny if it's fucking other people. And if you don't believe me, go look at Portland. You know how many threepers and patriots and people who say that they're against government tyranny I've seen in Portland who identify as right-wingers or libertarians or patriots or any of that shit? You know how many? Zero. None. Zilch. Squat. Skata. Nothing. They don't exist. But I digress. Please, let's continue running down the line. George Floyd protests in Pennsylvania being hijacked by white supremacists. Peaceful protests across the state are being infiltrated by white supremacists and other extremists. I've been on the ground for 3 days in Philadelphia, and I'm disturbed by what I'm seeing. Looting, destruction, fires recently overtook otherwise peaceful protests in Philadelphia, its suburbs, and other communities across the state. But those peaceful protests are being hijacked. Lancaster police chief on Monday said the police have, quote, definite evidence that white nationalists were among the crowd of protesters during the weekend. They were wearing body armor, carrying handguns, and, quote, Caucasian individuals who threw rocks and bottles containing cayenne pepper at police. There were also threats to set fire to the police station, the county courthouse, and local stores. Our main concern right now are the agitators that are coming into the city and trying to instigate violence between the crowd and police officers. Wow. Huh. Okay. I wonder if there are any more. Asheville police looking for white supremacist links to gun-wielding counter-protesters. White nationalists plan to bomb a Missouri hospital as a revolt against coronavirus lockdowns. Yeah. Missouri man named Timothy Wilson made preparations to set up a car bomb at a local hospital in suburban Belton, which was intended as a revolt against the stay-at-home orders issued by Belton's mayor, but his plan was cut short by an FBI raid. When he apparently resisted with a weapon, he ended up being shot and killed. Wilson had been the subject of an ongoing domestic terrorism investigation since September, according to an FBI statement. A number of far-right extremists have claimed the pandemic is secretly a cover for the imposition of a totalitarian, quote, globalist government. Wilson, who is participating in neo-Nazi chat rooms, decided to enact a plan he had already concocted for creating a car bomb and using it on a hospital. Also, not Antifa, not Black Lives Matter, white nationalist, neo-Nazi. They're literally everywhere. Like, look, people go on Twitter. Look, Proud Boy Carl Todd posted on Facebook 30 minutes ago about his plans to commit acts of vigilantism in downtown Portland. Keep your eyes peeled for Carl and his fellow fascists. Be safe out there tonight. Look, they're all dressed in black outfits with their face masks on. They literally wrote on Facebook, we're dressing up as Antifa and going out and burning shit so that the police will shoot Antifa. Okay? This is a thing. It's not going away. It's not getting any better. I know Donald Trump loves stoking the fires of conflict and pitting society against society, people against people, ideology against ideology. This is a giant fear campaign he's been running for 3 years now. Oh, beware the dreaded Antifas. The dreaded Antifas are coming. They're going to eat your babies. Yeah, that's what they're going to do. And literally, buildings being burned down, police being executed in the streets, police stations being burned to the ground. All this shit is happening. Trump screams about the dreaded Antifas and the black people and Black Lives Matter. 2 weeks later, article comes out, they arrested a white person for it. Everybody, quiet. All you hear is crickets. Cricket, 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 cricket. Seriously, people, you gotta stop believing the hype, okay? Final point. Anti-fascist linked to 0 murders in the U.S. in 25 years. Okay? The anti-fascists are not out killing people. The anti-fascists are not burning down people's homes. The anti-fascists are not gunning people down in the streets. All of these things that you have been told to attribute to a bunch of 90-pound vegans wearing black sweatsuits, eating salads and spray painting ACAB on the side of a fucking Starbucks is BS. These people are not a militant terrorist organization, okay? They're not killing people. They're not burning buildings to the ground. They're not murking cops. Okay? So the next time your racist ass drunk uncle emails you another bullshit chain email about how the Antifas are coming to your suburban neighborhood and you got to lock up your wife and kids, please remind him it's literally not a thing. Oh, also, closing point, Antifa, anti-fascist, okay? It should be all y'all's default settings, okay? Nobody should be fa. You should all be Antifa.